And how much proof do we need? Some of us need a lot of proof. Like Nate said. All right. Anybody got any ideas what that's about? Tell me. You know, when I thought, well, I was talking, the month is about wholeness, and so I was thinking that we are inseparable from spirit. And then I realized that Nat King Cole never sang inseparable. But I like Nat Said, so I like the title. Natalie sang it on that duet album that she recorded with him. She sang that song, but we're going to go with it anyway, and you'll see why in a minute. But it is. We're talking about wholeness. That's the theme this month. It's interesting that the Science of Mind, which is all about the individualized expressions of the divine, came up with these themes that we should all be talking about at the same time during the month and during the year. And so far, it's been working pretty well. And it's been very, very exciting to do that. And I thought, wow, that was kind of prophetic that we came up with this thing around wholeness for this particular month when people want to be fractured. But we're about wholeness, right? We're going to do that thing because there are no limits when we live in the process of unity. There's nothing that separates us when we understand that. In the whole, everything exists. And since we're talking about our spiritual belief that God is infinite, and in this infinite whole, everything exists. Spirituality is perfection in each and every one of us, picturing in this idea. Dr. Holmes says that the Spirit of God is an undivided and indivisible wholeness. It fills all time with its presence and permeates space with the activity of its thought. That's a really sweet idea. It permeates space with the activity of its thought. God thinks, and the things that God thinks fill all time and space. They become the creations at which we live. And we are the evidence of that. That song, how much evidence do you need? Just look at just right there, you. You being here is all the evidence that we need that God actually exists, because this presence that is an undivided, indivisible wholeness had an idea, and that idea burst forth as each and every one of us. We are these individualized expressions of this only thing that it is. We are therefore connected to it in all ways. We are, as Natalie said, inseparable. Now, the universe's entire way of being is to unite things. We may not see it that way, but if you think about it, we've studied it in many different directions. Philosophy studies it by looking at the infinite and combining the idea of the infinite with the finite. It looks at what is finite and then looks for that common source within it, and that is the infinity that exists. Religion looks at the human experience and talks about that in relationship to the divine. And then science looks at this thing called cause through the vehicle of effect. We see cause with effect. We see human with the divine. And then we see infinity with the finite. And all of them are talking about this unitive experience called wholeness. Heraclitus talked about the universe as being not divided, that it exists within itself. And the beauty of our each individualized expression sometimes gets lost on us. I'm thinking about the story of the cracked water pot. It's a lovely story. I don't know if you've heard it or not. It may sound familiar to you when you hear this. It's about a guy who every day he goes to get water for his master. He fills these 2 water pots, and one of the water pots is cracked. So when he gets to his destination, half the water has leaked out of it. And you know how in all these Zen stories, everything's animated, and the water pot one day says to the water bearer, "I'm so sorry that I have let you down, that every time you go to fill up water for your master, I end up only with half an amount of water. I wish I weren't so fractured. I wish I didn't have problems. I wish I was more whole. I could do it." And the water bearer says, No. Tomorrow, when we go to get water, I want you to notice the side of the road. And the next day they go to get water, and the water bearer, the water pot at the end says, I don't know what you mean. I mean, I still left only half an amount of water. He says, but did you notice the flowers? The flowers are only on your side of the road because I know that you're cracked, so I planted seeds. So when we go back, you water the seeds, you create the flowers, and every day, not only do we bring our master water, we bring him a fresh bouquet of flowers to put on it. And he said, oh, wow. See, even in our fracturedness, there's something special and beautiful about us. In our what we think of as our imperfections, wholeness is still existing. It's just up to us to find that special vehicle that we are and allow that to unfold. You see, that's the cause and the effect are wrapped up within each and everything that we do. And all that we think are not enoughness and everything. I mean, last night, John gave me an opportunity to sing. Yes. Somebody tell her, what did I do? I rocked it! In my imperfection, I found the wholeness of my voice and I sang. Yeah. Who didn't invite Eve to the party? Are you on the email list? Next year. We have it every year. So let's go to a quote. There can be no creation separate from the Creator and no person separate from God. No creation separate from the Creator is really an important aspect of that. I mean, everybody gets down to the, and no person separate from God. Yeah, okay, good. I got that. I know that. But here's what's really powerful, is that anything that you create carries the essence of you within it. You see, that's why we have the essence of God in us, because God created us. But the beauty of that is that we carry in everything that we do, we put our essence in the work that we do. And so what we do in the world carries weight and has importance and has value because we have allowed our presence, our naturalness, our nature is within everything that we do. So it's only that much more valuable that we participate more fully in our creative activities on a daily basis. You see, but it's like, and this idea that no person can be separate from God, it is like what Nat said. It is very much like what Nat said. As far as God is concerned, it's exactly like what Nat said. He did have a song that related to this.
Unforgettable. That's what you are.
That's right. That's what you are. God never forgets you.
Unforgettable, though near or far, like a song of love that clings to me. My, oh my, how you do things to me. Never before has someone been more.
Talking about you right now. Talking about you.
Unforgettable in every way. And forevermore, that's how you'll stay. That's my children, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.
She's talking about
God
spirit.
thinks that I am unforgettable.
Yes, yes, yes.
Unforgettable too.
Next year, you not only come, but will you sit at my table?
Next year, I'm going to auction myself off.
Woo! That'll be an unforgettable moment. Absolutely. We will. You know, the words in that song speak to how so many times the songs we hear have that spiritual message inside. You thought that was a love song. It is a love song. It's a love song of the divine to each and every one of us. But we forget. We constantly forget. And how do we forget? We judge by appearances. We start living in the past through our resentments and our memories. We start worrying about the future. Oh, how many of us have done that this week? Worried about things that have not even been materialized. Things that we have no way of understanding or knowing. And in those opportunities, we block our wholeness. We block our conduit to the divine because we get stuck in what Dr. Holmes calls outlining. When you're living in a past memory, you're stuck in the box of that memory. When you're living in a want of a desire that has not occurred yet, you're putting in the box of that. You see? But in something called infinite and wholeness, there are no boundaries. And if we can live in that place, I had a friend this week who's dealing with something, a challenge with her family. Her sister is in deep pain and pretty close to her transition. And she was trying to figure out, what do I do? I've been praying, and my prayers aren't being answered. And I said, well, maybe you set up what you want your prayer to be, what you want your answer to be. Perhaps you need to just surrender and trust and say, there's this infinite presence and power, and I open myself to what I don't know that I don't know so that you know and can bring that into my life. Sometimes we have to reach that point and not get trapped in what we think is going to happen. But see, Dr. Holmes leads us into the understanding of what goes on so often. He says, the God within, being infinite, appears to each one of us as the God who is believed in. What God are you believing in? And if your life is not out picturing as big as you want your life to be, maybe you need to believe in a bigger God. He goes on at the end of that and he says, as we worship the God whom we believe in, we are worshiping that rather than the God who is. See, when we worship the God who is, there are no limits, there are no boundaries, but things will happen that we don't recognize can happen because we have a limited access. You know, our RAM drive, our gigabytes is small. We don't have the same terabytes of God that God has, you see. Our computer's just not that big. But we have this uniqueness. And our uniqueness enhances the universe and adds value to the universe. Our individuality is actually oneness expressing as diversity. And in order to honor that diversity, we have to express ourselves in that individual way, and in doing so, we bring in an understanding of inclusivity. You see, in our experience of wholeness, we have to understand that there are these absolute individuals along the way. But our job, as one of our teachers, CSL Simi Valley 1.0, Dennis Merritt Jones, tells us, our job is to cease judging by appearances and to start knowing the truth. I want to introduce you to somebody. My friends, this is Balpreet Kaur. Do you notice anything? No, well, that, but this here. She was standing in line, and someone took this picture and said, what do you make of that? And people went off, making all kinds of judgments about her facial hair, about her headdress, claiming that she was Muslim and this, that, and the other. Turns out she's Sikh, and her hair, on her facial hair, is a result of taking treatments, hormone treatments, when she was a teenager. This picture got thousands of hits on Facebook and Reddit, and people were really cruel about some of the things she said, that were said about her. And then she chimed in, and here's what she wrote. She says, "Hey guys, this is Balpreet Kaur, the girl from the picture. I'm not embarrassed or even humiliated by the attention, negative and positive, that this picture is getting because it's who I am. See, as a baptized Sikh woman, she's forbidden by her faith from altering her body because her body is considered a sacred gift of God. We are each a sacred gift of God. She says, the overarching principle is that this body is a tool for service. We have to maintain and take care of it while cherishing its original form. So if she has to go to the doctor for medicine, she'll do that. You know, she will take care of the body temple, do the exercise, eat right. We're supposed to take care of the body temple. But she says here, my hair doesn't stop me from being normal or doing service, so it's not a hindrance. I've been to the doctor regarding this, and it's just a side effect of my hormone levels during my teenage years. The hormones have returned to normal, but the hair is still there. That's fine. I don't regret anything, nor do I view it as an unfortunate thing. Yes, I'm a baptized Sikh woman with facial hair. Yes, I realize that my gender is often confused, and I look different than most women. She happens to be the president of the Ohio State University Sikh Student Association. Yeah. She says, my attitude and my thoughts and my actions have more value in them than my body. By not focusing on the physical beauty, I have time to cultivate those inner virtues and hopefully focus my life on creating change and progress for this world in any way I can. After she made that post, the guy who wrote the picture, who put the picture up at first, wrote her this really eloquent apology and said that his life has been shifted and changed because of her grace and her ability to see individuality as not separation, but as wholeness, as the idea of honoring diversity. In the Science of Mind, it says, the answer to every question is within man, because man, woman, is within spirit, and spirit is an indivisible whole. The answer to every question that we have is within us, and it's within our capacity to understand the answer. She had the answer to all of those negative tweets and postings. And then in that answer, she shifted a man's take on life itself. It's a beautiful experience. And we all have that ability to reveal wholeness. You see, when we can let go of preconceived notions, it's like our memory is like remember those old projectors, the carousel projectors that you know? As they go around, when we can let go of something, that slide gets pulled out and tossed away. But if we don't, it just stays in the carousel, waiting for its opportunity to drop back down into the light and get broadcast out into our minds again, and we just keep reliving it and keep reliving it. So your choice. Would you like to empty some of the slides from your carousel? That's about forgiveness. That's about letting go. And in doing so, we see unity. You know, see, forgiveness is a loving act that we can all do. It's for ourselves. It's for others too. It's very freeing, and it invites an invitation for us to learn and to grow. In forgiveness, it's not about forgetting. It's not about condoning. It's not about getting on your high horse or even being a martyr or anything like that. And it's not a quick fix. It's not easy to do. But it does take that carousel out, that slide out. You know, Abraham Lincoln ran a rough campaign against a guy named Edwin McMaster's Stanton. And it was, I read back on it, it was as divisive and as nasty a campaign as the one we just recently saw. And at the end, when Lincoln was putting his cabinet together, he was like, I need a Secretary of War. I think I'll pick Stanton. And his advisors are going, are you nuts? He hated you. He talked about you like a dog. He says, I know, but he's the best guy for the job. So he put him in as Secretary of War. You see how the war turned out. And at the end, when Lincoln took his last breath, Stanton was by his side with tears rolling down his eyes. And he says, I have lost a friend. This is a man of the ages. Here's a man that said things again about him that I will not repeat up here. But at the end of his life, he had switched it around because he was able to have forgiveness and able to live in this wholeness. And we all have that capacity to reveal that wholeness as long as we remember, it's like Nat said, we are all unforgettable to spirit. We're all unforgettable. And in that remembrance, we touch something rich within us. So if you're ready to remember that you're unforgettable, how about a nice applause for yourself? Would you? Love on yourself. Or even better, do the Emma Curtis Hopkins things. Okay, hands up, bend at the elbow. I love myself. I just love myself so much. And so it is. So let's close with our affirmation together, shall we? And it says, not that one. No, not that one. Not that one. That one. Yeah, I know I skipped one. Here we go. I am one with, as, and of spirit, never separate, never forgotten, begotten of the only begotten. All right. Thank you. Okay. Prayer time, please. Yes. There's no stool. There's a stool. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes. See? That's what I'm talking about, surrender. It's what you don't know that you don't know that you don't know. And then there's those that have the same thing I have. Thank you for expressing the monkism. Oh, gosh. God loves humor. God loves a good laugh. And in that laugh, we also know that there is joy and peace and wholeness. So let's just live in the joy and the peace and the wholeness of the divine in this moment and recognize that whatever condition is moving through someone's life, be it positive or negative, as we judge it from this side of the experience of life, we know that it is wholeness expressing. It is an opportunity for us to remember the divine and to live in a space of peace and possibility. We open our hearts right now for a download of divine love. We open our minds right now for a download of divine wisdom, and we take the two and combine them with the law to outpicture a life that is wonderful, that is purposive, that is directed toward good, that expresses as harmony and right action and divine goodness and peace and joy and fellowship for our fellow man and woman and child. We have an opportunity this day to walk forward in life in faith and to stand as the bright lights that we are in the world and to let that light shine out and warm the hearts and minds and souls of all those that are touched by our presence. This is the truth of our being. This is the activity of our life. We are not forgotten. We are the unforgettable because God does not forget us and we do not forget our relationship with God. And so it is from this place that I speak a word of gratitude for the presence of each and every person here, each and every person online, each and every person we come in contact with this week. And I know that we bring this good tidings, we bring this good news, we bring this gospel of love everywhere we go. If you're feeling that with me now and believe it to be true about your own life, affirm this as I release it into the law by saying, and so it is.